When was the last time you felt truly in control? Not busy, not distracted, not surviving. In control. Most people don't lose their lives overnight. They lose it quietly. One postponed decision at a time. Here's the truth. No one tells you. You don't need more time. You don't need permission. You need a moment of honesty. Because right now there's a version of you watching this who knows something has to change. Not later, not someday. Now. I once met someone who looked successful on the outside. Good job, nice place, busy schedule. But inside, they were exhausted, disconnected, stuck in routines they didn't choose. They said, I don't know how I got here. That's the danger. You don't fall into a bad life. You drift into it. So here's the question that matters. Are you living by design or by default? Because the cost of staying the same is far greater than the discomfort of change. And today you take control back. Why do you feel out of control? Most people think they're unmotivated. They're not. They're unclear. That's the real issue. Clarity creates energy. Confusion drains it. Think about it. When you know exactly what you want, your body feels different. Your posture changes. Your breathing shifts. Your voice has weight. But when things are fuzzy, you feel heavy, slower, reactive. You wake up, not with purpose, but with noise, notifications, thoughts. Responsibilities that feel endless. You react, you scroll, you respond. One message leads to another. One task turns into 10. And before you realize it, the day owns you, not the other way around. Pause for a moment. Who's really in control right now? You or everything around you? Here's the pattern most people never see. When people feel overwhelmed, they stop deciding. They say things like, I'll deal with it later, I just need a break, I'll figure it out eventually. But when you stop deciding, life decides for you. Schedules get filled, energy gets drained, years pass quietly, and then something dangerous happens. Comfort becomes the cage, not pain, not struggle, not failure. Comfort. Comfort whispers, don't rock the boat, don't risk it, just stay here. And it sounds reasonable, that's why it's so powerful. I once worked with someone who stayed in the same situation for years, not because they loved it, not because it fulfilled them, but because it was not that bad. Let that sink in. Not that bad. That phrase destroys dreams. Because not that bad slowly turns into, this is my routine. Then into, this is just how things are. Then into, this is my life now. And one day, you wake up older, tired, and wondering where your time went. So let me ask you something real. What are you tolerating right now? Do you know is draining you? Be honest. Is it a habit that steals your energy? A relationship that feels one-sided? A routine that keeps you busy but not fulfilled? What are you pretending not to notice? Because here's the truth. What you tolerate today becomes your standard tomorrow. And standards shape destiny. Not intentions, not wishes, standards. What you accept trains your nervous system. What you accept becomes normal. What becomes normal becomes permanent, unless you're interrupted. Right now. This moment matters more than you think. Because change doesn't begin with action. It begins with a decision. A clear one. A decision that says, this stops now. So decide. Not emotionally, not dramatically. Decide with certainty. Will this be the year you stay comfortable, repeating familiar patterns, waiting for motivation to magically appear? Or will this be the year you finally get honest? Honest about what's not working. Honest about what needs to change. You don't need to fix everything today. You just need to stop lying to yourself. So answer this and don't rush it. If nothing changes, where will you be 1 year from now? And if you did take control, who could you become? That question deserves an answer. And it deserves it now. The fast control framework. Here's how control actually works. Not complicated, not mystical, fast. 4 moves, done with intensity, repeated daily. First, to focus your energy. Most people think they manage time. They don't. They manage attention. And attention is leaking everywhere. Notifications. Noise. Other people's priorities. What steals your focus steals your future. Read that again. If your attention is scattered, your results will be too. Your best hours deserve your best energy. Not distractions. Not endless scrolling. Not reacting to everything. Ask yourself, what do I give my sharpest energy to each day? And more importantly, does it deserve it? Because the way you start your day often decides how you live your life. Second, ask better questions. Your brain is a search engine. It answers whatever you ask it. Ask weak questions, get weak answers. Questions like, why do I always mess this up? Why is this so hard for me? Those questions don't help you. They trap you. Now shift it. Ask questions that demand power. Instead of, why am I like this? Ask, what's one move that changes everything today? That question forces clarity. It creates direction. It demands courage. So ask yourself right now, what question have you been asking on repeat that's been keeping you stuck? And what new question could pull you forward? Third, set standards. Goals are wishes. Standards are rules. Goals sound inspiring. Standards shape behavior. A goal says, I'll try. A standard says, this is who I am. Decide what you no longer accept. Low energy is a lifestyle. Excuses dressed up as reasons. Effort only when you feel like it. Standards are quiet, but they're powerful. They guide your choices when motivation disappears. So be honest. What have you been tolerating that no longer fits who you want to become? Because what you allow becomes your normal, and your normal becomes your future. Fourth, take action fast. Not perfect, not polished, not ready. Waiting for confidence is a trap. Confidence is built through movement. Action creates clarity. Clarity creates belief. Belief fuels momentum. Small actions done fast beat big plans never. Every time. So stop negotiating with yourself. Stop waiting for the right mood. Ask yourself this and answer it honestly. What's one action you've been avoiding that you know would shift everything? Not 10 actions. 1. Do it today. Because control doesn't come from thinking more. It comes from deciding and moving fast. That's how you take your power back. Emotional control is life control. You don't control everything that happens. That's reality. Things change. Plans shift. People act in ways you didn't expect. But you always control what it means. And that's power. Two people can face the same moment. One feels defeated, the other feels driven. The difference isn't the event. It's the meaning they assign to it. That meaning shapes emotion. Emotion drives action. Action builds outcomes. That's the chain. Emotions aren't problems. They're signals. They're messages asking for attention. But most people treat emotions like enemies. They suppress them. They ignore them. They let them run quietly in the background. And when that happens, emotions start driving choices without permission. Here's the shift. You don't fight emotions. You direct them. And the fastest way to do that isn't thinking. It's movement. Change your body, change your state. Stand up, straighten your spine, lift your head, breathe deeper, not shallow, not rushed, full breaths, move with intention. Because your story follows your physiology. Your posture sends instructions to your brain. Your breathing sets the tone. Your movement creates momentum. I've seen people transform their lives without changing their circumstances. Same job, same schedule, same challenges, but a completely different experience of life. Why? They change their state. And when your energy changes, your choices change. You stop reacting. You start responding. You stop shrinking. You start leading. And when your choices change, your life follows. This isn't theory. This is practice. Think about a time you felt strong. Not lucky, not comfortable, strong. What was your posture like? How were you breathing? How did you move? Now compare that to a time you felt stuck. The body tells the story. So let me ask you something important. What emotion has been running your life lately? Is it stress, frustration, doubt, pressure? And how has that emotion been shaping your decisions? Because emotions don't just color moments. They shape habits, and habits shape destiny. Now here's the powerful part. You can choose differently. Not someday. Today. In this moment. You don't need permission. You don't need perfect conditions. You need a decision. A decision to shift your state when it matters most. So ask yourself this and answer honestly. What would happen if you chose strength instead of stress? What would change if you chose focus instead of overwhelm? What could open up if you chose purpose instead of autopilot? Your life doesn't change when circumstances change. It changes when you do. And that choice is always available. Right now, the real shift. Here's the secret most people miss. They think change is about trying harder, pushing more, forcing discipline, relying on motivation. That approach works for a moment. Then life happens. Energy dips. Stress shows up. Old habits return. Because lasting change is not about willpower. Willpower is unreliable. It fades when you're tired. It disappears when pressure hits. It weakens when comfort calls. Lasting change is about identity. Who do you believe you are? Not who you wish you were. Not who you plan to be someday. Who do you see yourself as right now? That's why asking the wrong question keeps people stuck. They ask, what should I do? That question leads to tactics. And tactics without identity don't last. Now ask a different question. Who must I become? That question changes everything. Because behavior follows identity. A person who sees themselves as disciplined doesn't debate effort. They act. A person who sees themselves as focused doesn't negotiate with distractions. They decide. Identity removes friction. Every action you take is a vote. For a version of you, a vote for discipline or distraction, a vote for strength or comfort, a vote for progress or delay, and no vote is neutral. Even small choices matter. The extra 5 minutes, the skip routine, the easy option, they all add up. That's why you don't rise to your goals. Goals are targets. You fall to your standards. Standards decide how you act when no one is watching. Standards guide you when motivation is gone. So be honest. What standards are you living by right now? Are they shaping the life you want or the life you've settled into? Here's the part most people avoid. Identity isn't discovered, it's decided. You don't wait to feel like the person you want to be. You choose to act like them first. Action builds belief. Belief locks identity. So decide who you are now, not when things calm down, not when timing feels perfect. Now, decide what you stand for. Decide what you no longer accept. Decide what kind of effort is non-negotiable. Ask yourself this, and don't rush the answer. If your daily actions were proof of who you are, who would they say you were becoming? And if that answer doesn't sit right, what decision can you make today to cast a different vote? Because identity isn't built in dramatic moments, it's built into ordinary ones. And this moment counts. The 7-day reset. Change doesn't require perfection. That's a relief, because perfection stops people before they even start. Change requires momentum, movement, forward motion, even when it's messy. Most people wait until they feel ready. That moment rarely comes. Momentum doesn't come from thinking. It comes from doing something small and doing it now. Here's how momentum is built. One day at a time. Day 1. Decide what must change. Not everything. Not your entire life. One thing. The thing you've been avoiding naming. Be honest. What's costing you energy right now? Say it clearly, because clarity is the spark. Day 2. Remove one distraction. Just one. Not forever. Not dramatically. One thing that steals your focus. One habit that pulls you off track. Distraction isn't harmless. It quietly trains your mind to drift. So ask yourself, what would my day look like with one less interruption? Day 3, fuel your body better. Not perfectly. Intentionally. Your energy comes from what you put in and how you move. When your body feels heavy, your mind follows. When your body feels supported, this isn't about rules. It's about respect. Day 4, take the action you've been avoiding. This is the emotional peak. The moment most people skip. That email. That conversation, that decision, the longer you delay it, the bigger it feels. Do it once, and notice what happens. Relief replaces tension. Power replaces hesitation. Ask yourself, what action would future you thank you for? Day 5, clean your environment. Your space shapes your behavior. Clutter pulls attention. Order creates calm. Clear one area, your desk, your room, your digital space. You're not just cleaning objects, you're sending a signal. I take myself seriously. Day 6, reflect honestly, not critically, not emotionally, honestly. What worked, what didn't. Awareness creates adjustment. Adjustment creates growth. Most people skip reflection. That's why they repeat patterns. Day 7, lock one non-negotiable habit. One, small enough to keep, strong enough to matter. Something you do even when you don't feel like it, especially then. Because habits aren't about motivation, they're about identity. Small wins create belief. Belief fuels consistency. Consistency builds control, and control builds confidence. This is how lives change. Not overnight, but permanently. So ask yourself, and answer out loud if you need to. What's one habit you refuse to skip starting today? Not tomorrow. Because momentum doesn't wait, it rewards action, and your next move matters more than you think. The final truth. Here's the truth, and it's simpler than you think. You are not behind, not in life. Not in progress, not in potential. You are not broken. Nothing about you needs fixing. Nothing about you disqualifies you. You are not out of time. Opportunity hasn't closed its doors. You are one decision away. One clear, honest decision. Not 10 decisions. Not a lifetime plan. One. Your past doesn't define you. Not your mistakes, not your delays, not the moments you wish you handled differently. Your past is information, nothing more. Your next move defines you. That's where power lives. Right now. This moment matters more than yesterday ever could, so make it now, not tomorrow. Tomorrow is where motivation goes to disappear. Not next week. Next week turns into next month, now. Because action in the present rewrites the future. Let me ask you something, and don't brush it off. What decision have you been postponing? The one you keep circling back to. The one that shows up in quiet moments. Why hasn't it been made yet? Fear of discomfort? Fear of change? Fear of stepping into something unfamiliar? Those fears don't mean stop, they mean grow. Every meaningful life shift starts with uncertainty. That's not a sign of failure. It's a sign of expansion. So ask yourself this. If you keep choosing the same patterns, where will they lead you? And if you choose differently today, what becomes possible? You don't need to know every step. You only need to take the first one. Because confidence isn't found. It's built. Built by keeping small promises to yourself. Built by acting before you feel ready. Built by deciding that this moment matters. Because if not now, when? There will always be reasons to wait. There will always be noise. But moments like this, they don't repeat. And if not you, who? No one is coming to take control for you. No one else can make the decision. This is your responsibility and your opportunity. So take control, not dramatically, deliberately. Choose clarity over comfort. Choose action over delay. Choose to trust yourself again. This is your moment. Don't let it pass unnoticed. Thank you for listening. And don't forget to like and subscribe, my friends.